Little product placement right there. I pulled the seeds out of my jalapenos because they're going in my cornbread. Now y'all, I'm making some cornbread to go along with my beans, and that's what that jalapeno is for. We're also going to add some jalapeno jack cheese. Hello, gentlemen and beautiful ladies. Okay, y'all. Mr. Modemac has a bean challenge he has invited everyone to participate in. So I decided to take him up on that. He has a channel on YouTube. He also has a very popular cast iron cooking group on Facebook. Now all the links to everything will be directly below this video in the description. So anything you need that I mention, it'll be right there. Just click the link and then you can find it. I'm not going to spoon feed you. Now the deal is, Mr. Modemac is from Boston, or Boston, something like that. And the last thing I knew, the only thing that came out of Boston was a bunch of potatoes. But anyway, we'll get past that. He did cook some Boston baked beans, and they sure did look good. I'm going to have to try them out. But those style of beans are really good, but they're kind of a go with. They're not the main course. Down here, you say I'm cooking a pot of beans. Well, that's the deal. That's it. So I'm going to show you how I do my beans, and hopefully, you're going to see some heavy iron. You're going to see some vintage cookware, and you're going to like this recipe for my beans. Now, what you're going to need to make my beans is some steak. Good pieces of steak. Of course, I'm not going to use that much steak. You need some cilantro. You're going to need some peppers. These kind of peppers. Bell peppers. Now, I got different colored bell peppers because that just adds to the, the fruit cocktail look of the beans. It's not totally necessary, but it does make it look better. Of course, you're going to need some bacon. You cannot make beans without bacon. That's just the law. You're going to want some tomatoes and onions. You're going to have a couple of these onions in there. Now the onions, you got to have a real onion. You can't have some of that 10-15 sweet onion garbage. Just throw those away. They're useless. Real onion needs to make you cry. That's what you got to have. Also need some carrots. And for seasoning blend, product placement right there. That's all I add. And the people that know. That's all I got to say. So let's get this done. Oh, I'm sorry. On the side note, I am making some cornbread. I put some jalapenos in it and some jalapeno cheese. And so we're going to get that in the oven also. Of course, I'm cooking in a cast iron. Check this out. Don't grab cast iron without a handle right there. Now the beans, you can use any type of beans you want, but what I did is I took pinto beans, these right here, and I took some red beans. I got about 2 cups of these and a cup of these right here. But you can use any type of beans you like or mix them up. It doesn't really matter. Now I put them in a pot last night and I let them soak overnight, and so they're ready to go. Now I cut my onions into pretty much bite-sized pieces because I don't want them to just melt and disappear. I'm not making a gumbo, I'm making some beans. So you want that texture in there floating around. Ta-da! Now you may be wondering why all the little pieces aren't just perfectly symmetrical and all that type of thing. It's because I want some texture. You know, when I'm eating something, I want some texture to it. I don't want just a bunch of mushy, you know, like I'm eating an oyster or something. Though I do like oysters. You gotta have some texture. You gotta have some kick, you know, make it interesting. So don't cut all your pieces the same size. Woo, okay. Woo, okay. And do that one more time. A little bit for the chef right there. That's some magic dust. Mmm. Can't ever go wrong with bacon. Now I'm going to go outside and cook these steaks on my gas grill. Should cook them over some mesquite to make them epic. But today, time-wise, I'm just going to throw them on my gas grill. I'm going to put a good char on them. Because all that seasoning and char is going to go right in the beans. Give it a little smoky flavor too. Yeah, I know. I know. Modemac, you don't know who you're dealing with, man. Wow. Now my steaks are done, as you can tell. Now I'm not going to use all these steaks, but I am going to probably eat one of them on the side. How do they smell?
Amazing.
Yeah, they do.
Steak-alicious.
Now we're going to let those rest a little bit, let the juices run out of them, and got one other thing I need to cut up. Carrots. Now my beans, it's all about texture. You got to have some texture. Now I'm not cutting these up into little fine dices. I'm not making a chicken pot pie, okay? I want something I can stab with my fork. I want something I can get into. So you need something to chew. You know, you pull a big old carrot out of there, you get to chew on it. It's got some texture, it comes with crunch. That's what you want. It's just about to start to get real serious in here. See how it is, Modemac? Now here's the deal, y'all. Got a piece of steak. This whole bottom piece right here is a big chunk of fat. That's going in my beans. You don't skimp on that, but I'm not going to just put a big chunk of fat in there floating around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dice that up real small. And then nobody will complain about that fat being in there. It's going to add a lot of flavor. It's just like putting on an old jacket and finding an M&M in a pocket. Hey, it's a good thing. It is almost sacrilegious to take a steak of this quality and throw it in your beans, but when your beans are epic, that's what you got to do. Now this is that fat right here. We're going to cut that real small. Like I said, so it feels like an M&M when they find it. You want the fat real small, but the meat you want it, you know, bite-sized pieces. Buddy. You always have to sample it. Oh. Wow. Let's hit these other two for lunch. Let there be bacon. Now I'm going to add a little cilantro right now, but when these finish cooking, I always throw a handful of cilantro on the very top, because this cilantro here is just going to disappear. But I want that flavor already starting to get in there. Well, everybody likes me today. Okay, one almost final ingredient. Right there. That's all I need. And those that know, they know. Now, I know what everybody from Texas is saying is, where's the damn heat? Well, the Cornbread does add the heat, but I'm kicking it up with these bad boys. As you can see, doop, doop. It doesn't take much, and I'm not going to flame everybody out with this pot of beans, strictly because you add too many of those, and you need a fire extinguisher to eat it. That's starting to smell good now. Cornbread in there. That's looking like some beans right there. Look at that. Ooh, doggy. Everybody knows beans come out of a cast iron pot. It's just the way it works. So I'm going to let those simmer for about an hour, and it's going to be chow time. But hey, I'm looking at this cornbread. I gotta do a little sample. That's the ticket. Okay, Modemac. There's the deal. The only go-wist I have with my beans is cornbread, because the beans are the meal. It almost, I guess you guys might even almost call it a stew, but this is beans, and they're done right. Completely awesome. And I added the extra cilantro at the end. Got just the right heat, and tomorrow they're going to taste even better, because that seasoning will just go right on through everything, just like a bowl of chili, if there's any left. What do you guys think?
Good.
Good? Good? There we go. Okay, Modemac and your group, the Cast Iron Cooking Group, that's my entry into your bean challenge. Now, I really have to give it to you. Your Boston baked beans did look rather awesome. I have to admit, I mean, you put a lot of love into those. We just got a difference in style. My beans came out, you know, what can I say? They're just, you put out that pot of beans and it's going to disappear. But way different flavor, way different, you know, styles, the whole thing. Mine's a full meal deal. Yours is kind of a go with. I did have to throw in my cornbread because that's a go with the beans. But maybe that's from the truck wagon days, I don't know. Anyway, I really enjoyed making this video and accepting your challenge. You're going to have to try maybe some of these South beans here, you know. They'll kick it up on the temperature and stuff. I know you're probably not into all the heat, but you know, that's the way you got to roll sometimes. Anyway, do appreciate it, and thanks y'all for watching.